The latest novel from #1 New York Times bestselling author Lisa Gardner has an Arizona connection. Kiss Her Goodbye is the latest installment in the Frankie Elkin series. The title character is called to southern Arizona to find a missing Afghan refugee before it's too late. Lisa will be at the Poison Pen bookstore in Scottsdale tonight, and I'm thrilled to have her join us first here on Horizon. Thanks for coming in.
Oh, thank you very much, Christina.
So Kiss Her Goodbye, beautiful cover, great title, opens with an Afghan refugee in Tucson. Why Tucson?
So I made this great connection randomly. I happened to be on a whale watching trip, and I met a couple from Tucson. And their volunteer work is helping resettle refugees. And in particular, they'd just been working with an Afghan family. And listening to them talk about all of those challenges and what it really takes to become up and self-sufficient in 90 days, it just blew my mind. And things that make me interested and curious, I think other readers would love to know about.
Since the fall of Kabul, Arizona has welcomed around 7,000 refugees from Afghanistan, and they go through intense background checks. I know you know this because you did a lot of research. Not everyone is aware of this. And they're actually invited by the federal government to come and resettle here. And you mentioned the 90-day, which is sometimes a number that is tossed around as they have 90 days and then they're good to go. And it's not really that easy, is it?
No, it's not. And it's something that was really interesting to me. Like, I thought I knew what a refugee was. But one of the first steps when I'm writing a thriller is the research. And one of the first distinctions I had to make is, yes, a refugee is an internationally recognized legal designation. So yes, the federal government says we'll take so many refugees. Then the states say we will take so many. So they are invited here.
And what did you learn in terms of the support that's provided and the challenges?
So there's been many resettlement agencies that try to help the refugees, and it's a lot volunteer-based, as with the couple that I met. Unfortunately, so many of those resources are being pulled right now, which will just make it more complicated. If you can imagine, these are people who come from basically now, in the case of Afghanistan, you know, their culture doesn't exist anymore. Coming here, they have to get a job, they have to get affordable housing. I think most of us can understand that challenge right there. They have to figure out things like malls and mass transits. It is a huge undertaking.
In your book, it opens with local police not even opening a missing persons case for a character. Do you think that has to do, well, you tell me why you chose to do it that way.
So this book features a reoccurring character, Frankie Elkin. And what Frankie prides herself is looking for the missing the rest of the world has forgotten. And certainly in this case, the young missing mom, she has been in the country for 10 weeks. There's no support structure. She does not know anyone. She's been ripped from the only country and background she knew. She would be exactly the kind of person that just kind of falls through the cracks. We know her husband, who is much older and somewhat domineering, doesn't seem interested in finding her either. Is that a red flag? Is he part of the problem? But also, they have a 4-year-old daughter who's already had a life of trauma. And as Frankie knows, this little girl needs her mother back.
I was going to ask about, is it Sabra?
Sabra.
Sabra.
I'm working very hard on it.
You have her daughter in here. And you're trying to show, obviously, that children are also dealing with some vulnerabilities and some trauma in a different way. How significant of a character is the daughter?
You know, Zara, the little girl, really grew on me because in the beginning I wasn't sure. But everyone in this family has a gift. The father was this brilliant mathematician. The mother, the missing woman, has a gift for languages. And Zara, even at 4, is a bit of a prodigy with things like riddles. So she greets Frankie with this whole, you must find the lock that has no key for the key that has no lock. And that starts to drive the rest of the book.
Is there a scene or a moment that you're especially proud of in this book, or something that you really want people to know?
Well, I'm always trying to learn something different when I'm writing these novels. And sometimes when we have very intense plot, because this is very much a domestic thriller, it is what is happening with this family. And it's the kind of elements that I think speak across international boundaries. We all want a better future for our children, and we all know there's things we don't know about our neighbors that go on behind closed doors. But somewhat to also lighten the mood at the moment, I have a very special character in the book, Petunia, the green iguana, that Frankie is now trying to house it. And I really didn't know much about iguanas, and I will be the first to say I'm kind of afraid of iguanas. But Petunia, the iguana, totally became one of my favorite characters.
Iguanas can be big, not as big as the otter we saw, but
yes, that was amazing.
So you've written many, many books. How did this, and we're getting close to about 30 seconds or so, how did this challenge you, or did it in a different way?
This was the hardest research I've ever done for Kiss Her Goodbye. Generally, I'm writing police thrillers, so I'm interviewing law enforcement about a particular procedure. This was really a study in the human experience. It was interviewing refugees, so many who were telling me their stories. And there's no one experience, there's no right or wrong answer, but there are so many really heartbreaking, but also hopeful stories out there.
And on a very light note, you enjoyed a lot of food, I know, and there's a recipe?
Yes. I learned to love Afghan food, and particularly Fernie pudding. And there is a great restaurant in Tucson, Cobble Corner, I highly recommend. And the recipe is online if you want to check out social media and the website.
Lisa Gardner at the Poison Pen in Scottsdale tonight at 6:30.